What's up, everybody out there? It is I, Grognard the Young Grognard, and I'm looking to give a nice warm tavern welcome to all of you songwriters, you strong fighters, all of you wizards of old, and all of you who believe fortune favors the bold. I'm coming at you with an interesting episode of apparently something on YouTube. I'm usually out there on the podcast, which you can find the Young Grognard podcast, YUNG Grognard, on pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast. But this video, I want to talk about the next season of the podcast that me and a group of my friends are doing. We're going to be doing an actual play of our very own campaign setting. It's going to be in the 5th edition of the game. But I'd like to talk right now about that campaign setting and sort of give a brief trailer so that people have perhaps a piqued interest, maybe want to go check out season 4 of the podcast that I'm going to be putting out on all the podcasty places. But anyway, without further ado, here's something of an elevator pitch for the campaign setting at large. The campaign is known as the Final Age. It is a campaign setting that focuses a lot on the difficult reality that not everything falls down to black and white. Not everything is just chaos versus law, good versus evil. Sometimes the biggest problems that people face is the concept of corruption versus purity, and the idea of people being true to themselves and staying true to their virtues or even to their vices. And the opposite of that would be people who sort of lose themselves in their pursuits and lose themselves in their tenacity, themselves in how dedicated they are to their craft, to their purpose. Every strong paladin out there, every lawful stupid character out there has the opportunity to potentially fall to their vices and fall prey to their own pious sense of nobility and righteousness. And in the same respect, every character of pure evil has the opportunity or the ability to stay so true to their motivations and stay so true to their motives that they really don't ever falter from their path and thus retain their purity of direction. Additionally, this campaign setting features a lot of interesting concepts for deities as well as for magics, where the gods of this realm are mainly mortals who have ascended and have become immortal. And so the immortals of this campaign setting are sort of closer to like Greek gods and goddesses, where they have much more of a sense of a humanity to them, where they have flaws and they can falter. But the major point to be taken from these guys is that they sort of live in this fragile power structure whereby there are only 5 immortals of purity and there are 5 immortals of corruption. Now, every time a new person rises and ascends to become the next immortal, one of the immortals of purity has to inevitably descend. And if they choose not to descend, instead, they become a corrupted inverse of themselves and become a member of the immortals of corruption. Additionally, magic in our world, I wanted to make magic a little bit different, so I took sort of a more old school approach with how magic is received by people, in the belief that magic is mysterious and scary and strange, so a lot of people don't tend to be open about the fact that they're magic users and whatnot. But to make it a little bit more complicated than that, this campaign setting features draconic magic, if you want to call it that, and the dragons are the original cause of magic in this realm, but dragons themselves are an alien force, kind of like aberrations like mind flayers and whatnot, and that they came from a different dimension and are pretty much here, refugees of a foreign war in a distant dimension, and with them came their magics, which people have attempted to pick up and attempted to use, but unfortunately it causes a lot more destruction and chaos than good. But to those few who can master it, great things can be achieved. Another thing that sort of lends the campaign setting to be more interesting than the next one over is the fact that characters who are adventurers in this world are usually typecast as being sort of one of 2 camps. Either they are adventurers who are no-goods and mercenaries who are pretty much out just for money or to take advantage of people, or they're actually noble warriors and adventurers who are off trying to do good for the sake of all peoples, right? But the problem is that we live in an age known as the Age of Bravery, and this Age of Bravery is one where adventurers are a dime a dozen, and it's hard to trust any of them. The system of heroism and bravery has sort of fallen by the wayside, and these old concepts of heroes saving the day are a little bit too old for a lot of people, and many people turn adventurers away, suggesting that they're really not worth the time and the energy. There are a few organizations in this world that make life difficult for everybody, including things like the Crystal Chalice, which is a group of paladins who are paladins and knights and, warriors of old who believe in this chivalrous idea that the world can be preserved and saved from all of its corruption simply by people coming together and worshiping the absolute good that is in the world. But the problem is that they themselves feature their own sense of corruption, where they become tyrants and oppressors, viewing their shining, virtuous ideas as being greater than anybody else's, and thus they themselves become masters in their own domain and become all the evil that they said they weren't. But most importantly, I think that at the end of the day, the coolest part of all this is that I'm going to be playing it with a group of my friends, and we're going to be doing actual play podcast episodes, and we're going to be trying to release them once a week or so. We're going to be putting them out about 45 minutes to an hour each, trying to keep things nice and concise and keep all the good stuff locked in there. But most importantly, I appreciate everybody who's watching the video. I appreciate everybody giving me the time to listen to what I got to say about my nerdy hobby. And additionally, if you check out the podcast, which you can find us on pretty much anywhere you get podcasts at YUNG GROGNARD, YUNG GROGNARD. And if you can find us, check it out. Tell me what you think. So without further ado, quest on and have a good day.